So installing the antiprocessor circuit will be for LG77 or 7775. Again, push the lever gently away from the socket. Orient the processor to so notches on the two edges processor line up with two notches on the socket. Place processor in socket. Close the socket lock cover. Push the lever and return it is locked in the position. So this is, for example, Pentium cooler. This is the Pentium cooler here with um, open socket 77 5. So we put this in this holes here. Then you lock the lever here. There's like the reaches the lever here. Then after that you put the fan. Installing AMD processor and socket. So, for example, AMD, which is M2, open socket again, lever and remove the protective cover. Place the processor in the socket. Then we need to verify the pins. So processor pins sitting slightly into the uh, uh, um, matches holes. Then press the lever down gently into the position. Apply the thermal compound and install cooler. Uh, Clip into the place the clipping mechanism on one side of the cooler. Connect fan power cord to the power connections. Verify system works. Then the verify system works. Replacing processing in laptop. Before replacing any things or consider in laptop might still under warranty. So or may much more cost effective to replace laptop rather than replacing processor itself. But if you decide to replace use CPU support by manufacturer and notebook model. For mini laptop, remove the cover on the bottom to expose the processor fan and heat sink assembly. Some laptop may require you to remove the keyboard and the keyboard bezel to reach the fan assembly and processor. If you decide to replace, lift the CPU from the socket, lift straight up without bending the CPU pins. Before placing the new processor into the socket, be sure the socket screw is in open position. Place the processor into the socket. Use the thermal component on the top of the processor. So random access memory RAM hold the data and instructions used by CPU. Dynamic RAM, which is memory DRAM, memory models used for on motherboard. So this is the where we place the motherboard RAM here. So is empty now here. This one, two empty. Also blue slots to show you dynamic RAM. So variation of DRAM, for example, we have something called DIMM, which is dual online memory module. Uh, Small outline of DRAM called SOGIMM, used in laptop actually. Macro DRAM used in sub notebook computers, and RAM and SIMM also is not available in the market anymore. Difference among the variation of DRAM, data path width, each modules accommodated, how data moves from system bus to the module. So those different type of RAM. All right. So for example, this the GIM memory. This is DDR. This old style memory actually also, and this is DRR2, and those DDR DIM. So those different kind of memory that will be applied and used in the market. So dual online memory models, 60-bit data path, 64-bit data path, independent bins on opposite sides of middle, which is something is good. Older DIMs asynchronize with the system bus. Synchronize meaning matching DRRM or SDRM runs synchronously with the system, which is something we look for. Two notches between and using 168 pins and 168 pins. uh, Double data rate, which is SDRM, also called DDR or SDRRAM, SDRRAM2, and DDR. Two times faster than the SDRRAM and uses 184 pins. DDR2 SDRAM faster than DDR and uses less power. DDR3 SDRAM faster than DDR2 and use less also power. DDR2 and DDR3 use both of them 240 pins. Not compatible, use different notches. So not compatible using different notches. Notches the gold stuff and the bottom of the RAM. DDR4 also it use faster, uses less power than DDR, also using 288 pins. So factors that affect capacity and features and performance of the DI memory, DIMMS. Number of channel that use, how much RAM is on DIMM, speed, and error checking capabilities or error checking abilities. So and buffering. So the early DIM technology is early single channel DIM memory controller. It accessed on one DIM at a time. Dual channel, it's using the dual channel. So memory dual channel meaning more way to transfer the data or more um, improving technology to transfer data. Memory control communicate with the two GIM at the same time and the double memory access speed, which is double memory make double dual make double speeds. Triple channels access three DIM at once, such as DRR, DDR2, DDR3, and 4, all of them DIMMS use. So you go 5, when you ask about DDR, DIMM memory, we have a DDR, DDR2, DDR3, and DDR4. DDR3 DIMs can also be used in triple channel if they are applied. So DDR3 and DDR4 can using quad channels if there is possible. So the quad channels introduced with the Intel Sandy Bridge chipset and the processor. Processor can access for DIMMS at a time. So this is will be Intel desktop like this. Motherboard. The number of this motherboard, the X79T0, with the 8 memory slots, which is very good, and supporting two quad channels. We're supporting two quad channels. So settings up the dual channels, so pin dims. So for example, dim in channels a slot, and here also dim in channel A and this in channel B. So those memory DIMMS. Using the same manufacturer recommendation, for example, if you're using the memory, the memory coming from different factory manufacturers. So the best way to do that using the same kind of the manufacturer. If you use different manufacturer, it could be work, but sometimes it causes some problem. Setting up triple channeling. So three DIM slots populated with the three matching um, DDR3 or DIMs. So this is show you the fourth is slot is empty here, So we have a three spots of memory here, and they indicate that they are installed in triple channel configurations. Oops. DIMM speed measured by megahertz, also PC rating. So PC rating, total bandwidth meaning the speed, the channel, for example, the bandwidth, for example, if the computer's 64 data bus, this means the maximum 64. The computers can go down 60, send say 60 data bus or 32 lower, no problem. So the bandwidth meaning the maximum bandwidth, the data allowed transfer between these components. DR2 BC rating, usually labeled as a BC2, DDR3 usually rating as a BC3, and DDR4 as well using as a relative label as a BC4. Single side DIM memory chips installed on one side of modules. Double side DIMM memory chips installed on the both side of modules. Memory bank, memory as a processor address at one time. Dual ranked DIMMS providing two or more banks. Error collecting code ACC, detects and correct errors in single bit application. So error meaning when the data move from the position on the or component to component inside the computer, there may be errors happens, like an like a, some data affecting with other signals. So ACC error correcting code makes 64-bit DIMM as 72-bit modules. Party used older SIMMS error checking based on the extra 9th-bit old party. Party bits sets make odd number of the ones. Even party bit is set to make even a number of ones. Party error, a number of the bits conflict with the party used. Buffer and registered hold the data and amplify signals before data written. Register DIMM use registers and buffer DIM no buffer register for support. So no buffer existing in the support. CAS latency and RAS latency. So column access strobe CAS latency, row access strobe it's RAS latency. Both refer number of clock cycle that takes to write or read a column or row and the data of memory. So how long's time when the data gets. So S latency, the time is used for writing data to the memory. So S latency is used more than the RAS latency. CS latency is used more in RS latency. Lower value are better than higher. Memory models adds providing CAS latency value with the series of timing number. Example 555 meaning 15. Types of memory used in laptop. Today laptop DDR3, DDR3L, and DDR3 and DDR2. So all those kind of memory will be using through this technique. Only use the type of memory the laptop is designed to support. The number of the pins and the position of the notches on SODIM keeps you from inserting wrong module and the slot memory. To upgrade memory meaning you add more RAM to computers. So the adding more RAM maybe solve the problem of like slow the performance or application refusing to load because we doesn't have a the computer still doesn't have enough memory on an unstable system, or Windows sometimes show up insufficient memory and go to the error message. When I upgrade the memory, um, you need to ask question how much memory do I need and how much is currently installed. How memory, this question you need to answer before you decide. And you need how many and what kind of memory modules are currently installed on the motherboard. How many and what kind of modules can I fit on my motherboard? How do I select and purchase the right models of my upgrade? And physically, how I will install these modules.